Hello everybody, welcome back to Our Life, Beginnings and Always. And let's see about where we left off. Okay. Okay, yeah, we did Escapade over here. So we're at Soiree. At some point I'm gonna probably go back and do the DLCs for step 1 because I didn't, when I first started doing the recordings, I had the DLCs from a different site, but they didn't download very well. I couldn't get them to download them and get them on the game, so I had to go through Steam and get it through Steam, and it worked through Steam. I got it. I got it. So I think after I finish step 3, I will go back and do the DLCs for step 1, just so that so that I have them and you'll all be able to see them. Okay. So we're gonna go with Soiree and get started here. By the way, if I sound off, it's because morning allergies. Again, they always hit me early in the mornings when I wake up. Excuse me. I'm gonna blow my nose. Sorry. I hate allergies. Alright. Focused here. You whiled away the morning during whatever stroked your fancy, and now you were recharging with lunch. With nothing on the horizon, you were free to spend as much or little time on your plate as you wanted. Oh, damn. Sheesh. Excuse me. I'll be right back. was a while you were thinking on all the possibilities for your afternoon that your mom's approached you.
Hi.
Hi, Chippy, says Mom. You okay? Asked Mom. Mouthful, you nodded, and in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything.
All right.
Great. I wanted to have a little chat with you. So, the qualifier little did nothing to downplay the situation. Your chewing slowed as your eyes widened, looking from one parrot to another, Anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. It was unsettling. It would be unsettling if you didn't know what the hell was going on. So, come on, moms, out with it. What's going on? You don't like being the only one not knowing what was going on. Stomach churning. You wanted them to fill you in.
There.
Don't look so worried. There's nothing scary, I promise, says Mom. There's a soiree at the Cypress tomorrow night. Your Ma and I are going. The Cypress was the country club your moms were a part of, and where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other month they had some event or another, all with fancy names like Soiree. So Soiree is, I guess from what I gather, it's a fancy party with music, dancing. There's music, there's food, and then there's dancing. So it's basically just a fancy party, or fancy get-together party, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but they call it a soiree. So, chewing your lip, you wondered what this had to do with you. Mom chuckled at your poorly concerned reaction. Leaning in, Mom took your hand and squeezed it. We've decided to make the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home fully alone for the first time.
Sorry.
You'll be coming to the party with us. Elizabeth's night to party with no family around. Not yours. Sorry. You gotta wait a couple more years, said Mom. Okay. I'm gonna cooked the last one. What's the soiree gonna be like? The usual. Well, mostly we wanted to make it a special night for you, too. So we've got something a little extra planned. What was unexpected interested you? Listen. Your parents shared a look across the table. You cleared your throat. Reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints and then turn coy when the conversation was about to get good.
Well?
Since it's a party, a pretty fancy party, says Mom. That's still chaperone, says Mom. And attendees are allowed to bring a guest. We thought it might be a nice opportunity for you to invite someone yourself as a date, if you want. Your eyes widened as the words sunk in. Your mom's continued. It was a struggle to keep up. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to eat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Yeah, I'm just gonna take Cove out here in the bushes and just have my way with him, you know, right? Mom nodded at Mom's interjection.
Isn't that great?
Yes, as long as you don't leave the party. And if you'd rather bring just a friend, that's okay too, says Mom. That's amazing. You must have lit up because your parents shared an amused look again.
Don't worry about it.
The soiree isn't until tomorrow, so you got time. Just let us know your plans before we're heading out, says Mom. And that's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now, says Mom. Your moms rose from their chairs in unison, disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you could think of was what just happened. The remnants of your lunch stared up at you from your plate. I'm gonna go with the first one. You felt that you should finish eating. The conversation had taken your mind off the meal, but you opted to try to eat a little more. You picked at the plate for a little while longer. Even though you relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that had unfolded at dinner at the dining table downstairs. You knew that I'm gonna go with the second one. Of course, I'm gonna want it to be a date, and I'm gonna bring Cove is gonna be my date. Obviously, you wanted it to be a date. The prospect of having your first date made it impossible to sit still. You couldn't help but jiggle your foot as you laid on your bed, contemplating the possibility. The night being a date would mean actually asking someone out. The little you knew of what came from what you seen on TV and movies and what you heard about from kids at school. You moms hadn't even entertained the idea of you dating until now. You went over the possibility of possible words and phrases in your head, setting up scenarios and smooth signals before tearing them down and trying something else. You realized that you'd been mentally scripting Cove as one you were asking. It had been his name repeating inside your mind, his face lining up as you invited him to join you. I'm gonna go with the last one. Smiling, you closed your eyes at the daydream crystallizing in your head. You let your train of thought continue a little longer. You clearly pictured your eyes, the way you rubbed his arm when he was nervous, and tried your best to guess what he might do next. It was nice. You liked him. You knew you were supposed to be friends, but you just liked him a lot. You wouldn't be able to stop thinking of him, even if you wanted to, and you didn't. Sighing, you shifted position on the bed, resting your arms on the windowsill. A flock of birds caught your eye, and you led your gaze as they crossed the sky. You watched the birds grow smaller and less distant until they disappeared from sight. Like the snap of a hypnotist's fingers, you were released from the trance and left with a goal of your own. You were going to take a walk. You ambled through the familiar streets of your neighborhood, picking your path at whim. It was quiet as ever, with tourists choosing to congregate in the shopping area near the beach rather than venture into the sleepy residential zones. You continued down the road and soon found yourself at the shore. The fresh, salty air hit you first, willing to meet you over the grassy dunes that tickled your legs, followed by the familiar view of the sea stretching out across the horizon. You came to a halt. Water. A lone figure was standing in the ocean, the water reaching up to his knees. Though he had his back to you, you recognized a familiar silhouette as Cove's. It made sense that you'd find him here. He always was in his element by the sea. You had no idea if he heard your arrival, if it was a coincidence, but he looked over his shoulder. Your eyes met. I'm gonna go with number 3. You called out, "Hey, Cove!" Cove smiled at you, bathed in soft light of the afternoon sun, with his hair gently tousled by the sea breeze. He looked especially charming. He then fully turned around and began to wade through the water over to the shore. First one, you wanted him to get to you already. You could hardly wait to talk about this. Heart aflutter, you wondered what you were going to say to him when he reached you. The question of whether to invite him, if so, in what fashion, was in front of you. Between leaping into a world of unknown or enjoying the safety of the familiar. Oh my. Aren't we looking handsome today? Yummy. I mean, look at that. Oh god. Hey Chippy, are you free right now? Asked Cove. Of course. What do you mean not exactly? Okay, yeah. Okay, not exactly. That's what I'm saying, I guess. My moms are taking me to a soiree tomorrow at the country club. And yes, we are free right now, but I don't know why I would want me to say that. It was kind of strange to you, but you wanted to get right to the point. A soiree, huh? Sounds exciting, asked Cole. He was smiling politely, but you could tell your outing mention hadn't sparked much interest. That didn't come as much as a surprise to you. Formal affairs and big gatherings were some of his least favorite things. But you were sure he'd attend if you were the one who invited him. You only had to do it. Cove tilted his head curiously at you. You resolved to make it a date. Cove continued to watch you expectantly. It was kind of thrilling to keep him in surprise. Chippy? Asked Cove. I'm gonna go with the first one. Cove, I want you to be my date for the party. You spoke your thoughts clearly. Caught off guard, he lifted his hands in front of his chest out of surprise. Then he packed them down and across over his chest. He twisted his face to the side, no longer able to meet your eyes. He still couldn't hide his flush on his cheeks.
Oh my god!
Are you serious? Asked Cole. I am as serious as something serious. It's very serious, is what I'm saying. His lips were pressed tightly together, preventing any more words from slipping out. You could tell that he was nervous, but that was always easy to pick up on with him. After another moment, he inclined his head, dipping it in a nod so slight that you might have missed it. Ah. Dipping in a nod so slight that you might have missed it, you had been able to tear your eyes from him. Really? Cove closed his eyes and tapped in his awkward pose. He was gripping his arms so tightly that the skin around his knuckles would fully taut. Are you okay? Cove exhaled at last, letting out a sigh that stretched into another tense silence. Allergies are worse today than we ever have been. His stance loosened. His arms stayed crossed over his chest, but he was no longer clutching them like a shield. You don't want to be the one to break the quiet. Thanks, Chippy, says Cove. I guess I'm gonna have to tell my dad and mom too, says Cove. Right. I've gotta let my mom's know you're going. Can you come with me? Yeah, says Cove. It was a relief that he thought through to manage speech again. You hoped that by the time you got to your house, he'd be able to manage full sentences once more. Cove went to where he discarded his things in the sand, tugging a shirt over his head and slipping on a pair of shoes before joining you and setting off home. The two of you stepped inside the front door of your house. It was an action you'd taken together countless times, but your stomach had never churned quite like this on previous occasions. At the sound of the door opening, your mom poked her head into the hall.
Hello!
Hello, says Mom. Oh, Cove, it's you. What a surprise. She chuckled at her joke. Cove was always there, she knew how close the two of you were. Bringing anyone other than him back would have been an actual surprise. Hi, Mrs. Prince. It's nice to see you, says Cove. So I take it Cove's going to be our guest for tomorrow night. Asks Mom. Yep.
Well...
And what kind of outing will it be? Asked Mom. Her voice was hesitant but serious. Cove ducked his head down reflectively. He knew that he'd figured out what she was driving at. It's a date. Mom nodded in understanding. She wore a whimsy smile. Mom's going to be thrilled about this. Cole tilted his head back up just slightly. He peeked through the longer strands of his hair. Just her, Miss Prince? Asked Cole. Even if you've been able to see wide bird eyes, you have heard the anxiety of his voice. Your mom sighed and patted him on the arm. Oh, Cole, you're a great kid. Most parents hope their kid meets such a special person someday, says Mom. She glanced aside, a weary expression on her face. Someday is the real key word here. Key word there. She turned back to you both. But you just had to move in right across the street at 8 years old. Mom crouched down, shaking her head, but a hand on each of Cove's shoulder.
Okay.
Cove, I hope you're planning on being very good to Chippy. And I'm not just talking about tomorrow night, says Mom. Oh, come on. He's a nice boy. He'll be nice. I'm not gonna do anything mean. We're not gonna go off having sex or something right now. She nudged him playfully at the cheek of his fist. Cove, who had been blushing when all this began, was now red as an heirloom tomato. Okay, yeah, I was, or will, asked Cove. I'm gonna go with this one. You don't have to worry, Cove's definitely gonna be good to me. Of course he is. There was a teasing tone in your voice between you and your mom. Cove was defenseless. He didn't speak further. His eyes locked down on his shuffling feet as he rubbed the scar on his arm. The redness remained intact. Okay, we've put Cove through the ringer enough. The big day isn't even here yet, says Mom. We laughed and nodded along. There was still plenty of time to have fun. I'll give your folks a call and get everything squared away, said Mom. She headed off to get the phone, leaving the two of you alone. Cove's eyes darted to you, and he shot a quick, delicate smile before staring at the ground again. I'm gonna go across the street and talk to my parents, says Cove. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye, Cove. You retreated from your home's entryway without another word, and the rest of the afternoon passed by like that. Back in your room, your mind was alright with visions of tomorrow night. The soiree was something, but not nearly as exciting as going on your first date. You were thrilled that Cove had actually said yes, that he was your genuine date to a party. You hugged your knees to your chest, overwhelmed by the thought. The night couldn't come soon enough. Damn it. The evening of the soiree had arrived. Daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention, at least. But you hadn't settled on an outfit stationed in front of your wardrobe. You scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Ma had mentioned this event was bit dressier than normal get together. You didn't necessarily have to. He looked for something formal. Tempted to decide on between the nicer pieces in your wardrobe, the ones that were rarely had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because I'm gonna go with this one. You were dressing to impress. Fashion was a competitive sport, just like the golf tournaments the club hosted. You might not walk out with a trophy at the end, but you still had every intention of winning. To start, you decided to wear not a dress, not a blouse. We're not a girl. We're not female, and we're not doing drag. So, button-down shirt. Crisp shirts were a classic photo look for a reason. They were essentially foolproof. Paired your top with dress pants. You picked a pair that complemented the color of your top and nodded with satisfaction. It was a slick look. You began to get dressed, your fingers working stiff zips and awkward fastenings. It felt different against your skin, reminding you with every movement that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased that you'd gotten the opportunity to wear this. Dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs, ready to head out. You found your moms already waiting in the living room. They were putting the final touches on their outfits. Mom strapped her heel into a stiletto shoe and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet single-handed. They looked up as you entered.
Oh!
Chippy, you look so nice. Don't you think, Pam? Asked Mom.
Thanks.
Thanks for dressing up, Chippy. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp. So do my mom's. Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You lent a hand literally by taking one side and holding it as she secure the clasp. Thanks, kiddo, said Mom. No problem. Mom glanced over at the clock on the wall, seeing the hands were pointing. A frown creased her face. When's Cove going to be here? Do you know? Says Mom. With the last one, I'll go get him.
Oh?
Oh yeah? Yes, Mom. She raised her eyebrows, a broad grin, replacing the earlier frown. That's very polite of you. Go sweep him off his feet, says Mom. We want to leave in 10 minutes, says Mom. Okay. Cove's house was mere seconds away from yours, making the warning unnecessarily, but you doubtfully went out. After crossing the street, you found yourself at Cove's very familiar front door. You rang the bell, whose chime was lodged in your head from all the times you rung it over the years. Though unlike usual, Cole's mom, Kara, was the one who answered it this night.
Come on.
Hey, Chippy, come on, says Kara. She beckoned you inside as she was so excited to see you that words alone weren't enough. Shoot. Thanks for coming. The boys will be right down. They're just in Cole's room. I can call them if you want. That's correct. That would be great. Things.
Sure.
Sure thing, says Kara. She stepped over the opening of the hallway at the other side of the living room and hollered down. Cove, Cliff, Chippy is here. Cliff's voice came back without its owner. Just a minute, thanks, hello. Hello, Chippy. He chuckled. It was longer than a minute, but Kara was filled the time by chatting with you about your plans for the night ahead. A short while later, Mr. Holmes strolled into the room, giving you a wave. Cove pulled his face into a smile as you reciprocated. The tension in his face faded away. You watch him taking in your outfit, swallowing and grinning at you again. Hi, Chippy, says Cove. Hi, Cove. He opened his mouth to speak more, then paused. Cove checked the time. A clock hanging on the side of the wall addressed his parents. We've got to go, says Cove. He abruptly headed towards the door.
Come on.
Where's the fire? Isn't there something you want to do before leaving for the dance? Says Cove's dad. Cove froze, winching at the call out, while his dad continued to smile encouragingly. Curious, you watched Cove expectantly. It was hard to imagine what he would want to do before heading out, or what you have time for. Your mom's warning about not taking too long echoed in the back of your mind.
Come on.
We can do that later, says Cove. Right. Sorry. Forget I said anything, says Cove's dad. Have a blast, you two, says Kara. Bye. He ducked out, following Cove into the street. Cove sighed and wrapped a hand across his forehead, seeing the look on your face. He shook his head.
It's okay.
I'm fine, it's nothing. That was good news. You didn't think Cove would get much fun out of a party if he wanted in already feeling bad. But it didn't explain his actions or his dad's teasing question. What was your dad on about? I asked. His expression grew pinned, his brow creased, and his mouth furrowed as he avoided meeting you in the eyes. Might have gotten worried, if not the flush coloring his face. He's just embarrassed. Cove drew himself up before responding. Dad's been making a big deal out of everything ever since he found out about this, says Cove. He gestured bigly between him and you. How I'm dressed, how I should prepare, what was going to happen. He even looked up the precise definition of a soiree in 2 dictionaries in case one was wrong. That's a lot. He wanted to make sure I would know what to do at one. So after he figured it out, he made sure to tell me about it. He exhaled, smiling sheepishly.
Don't worry about it.
Sorry for complaining. It's not your fault. It's not really his fault either. It's okay. Thanks. I was trying to get somewhere with that. Both my dad and my mom insisted that since this is a... He paused, pushing the hair back from his burning face, and forced himself to continue. It is a date and kind of a fancy party. Oh, stupid. I need to bring something for you for inviting me. The conclusion of the story caught you by surprise. You blinked, unsure if you slacked too much of your own preparations for tonight. You got me a present? I asked.
That's
Not really. Just this. Cove reached behind himself to take something out the back of his pocket. His hand returned to view with him holding a single small white poppy by the stem. Cove threw his gaze to the floor, shyly inching his hand closer to you. This is nice. Cove audibly sighed in relief. You got the impression he had been stressing over the flower he chose. He took that answer as a win. Thank you, Cove. He muttered a delicate reply. You're welcome. Then you accepted the flower from him. Cove straightened himself out in response. So, we're gonna be late if we keep standing here, said Cove. Right, we better hurry. You returned home, Cove in tow. Your mom's walking you back. You'd expected them to pile you back outside immediately, but their urge was momentarily stifled as they caught sight of the flower clasped in your hand. Thankfully, the other then sharing infertly knowing the smile, they took it in stride and didn't say anything. Mom's smug look vanished as she caught sight of the clock. Purpose remembered. Your mom's whisked you out once more into the car, off to your destination. And here we are at a fancy party at a fancy club. You pulled up to the country club. The sun had sunk down into the horizon. The last of its light sleekly warming the oncoming night. Your mom's led the way to the space around the back where the event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration with smart tablecloths and elegant ribbons, contributing to a festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were setting up their instruments and flickering through pages of sheet music. As promised, there was a table covered with plates of carefully prepared food. Destination reached. Your mom's routed you and Cove. Routed on you and Cove. Things hadn't kicked off yet, but don't let that stop you from enjoying yourselves.
Have fun. Have fun.
Have fun. We'll be around if you need us, says Mom.
See you later.
See ya, says Mom. Bye. Cove waved your mom's off. Once they retreated a distance away, you found him watching you expectantly. What now? Asked Cove. That wasn't a question, but a plea for help. You could tell that he definitely didn't know what to do with himself in this situation. We'll have to wait for some things to start, like the band, but there's stuff going on already. Cove perked up at that.
Really?
Oh? Do you want to do any of those? Whatever they are? Asked Cove. You introduce Cove to people in your country club. I know most of these people because I've been brought here a lot over the years. You can meet them. Sure. It doesn't matter if you make a good impression or not. They'll be curious about you no matter what. Sorry about that. You beckoned for him to follow you and met the other guests. Most of the attendees skewed significantly older than, considerably younger than the two of you. With only a few people around your age. Naturally, Cove greeted them with his eyes warmth. Not that there wasn't any difficulties. Sorry, could you repeat your name? Asked one of the guests. It's Cove. This is Cove. Cove? Asked one of the guests. They wrote the word over their tongues, clearly surprised. How unusual, but lovely, of course, says the guest. As you expected, there was an interest in who you brought to the party and what your relationship with him was. Chippy, good to see you. This is your date? One of the guests asked. Well, yes. The resulting clues from your group made it difficult to keep a straight face. Still, some of the people focused on important things. How you were dressed. Don't you look snappy in that outfit, says one guest. You scrub up well, says the guest. With the basic necessities taken care of you. You moved on to something else to pass the time. You checked the snacks at the refreshment table. You can go eat some food now, even if the music hasn't started yet.
Oh? Oh?
That's okay. It's not too soon. It's not too soon, asked Cove. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no one will mind, really. Okay. This is cool. The two of you wandered over to the refreshment table. With it being early in the night, it had barely been touched, and the plates were nearly as pristine as when they left the kitchens. Offerings were all tiny and bite-sized, ready to be picked up and sampled. It was immediately apparent that there was plenty to choose from. Just from the level of care with which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. Cove stared at one plate, then another, confused.
Maybe?
Just from the level of care with which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. Cove stared at one plate or another, confused. Did I just read that? I think so. Sorry about that.
Maybe?
I think I know some of this, says Cove. This is good stuff. Is it? Asked Cove. Yeah. He picked up one of the nearby morsels and presented it in front of Cove to observe. It looks like a slice of the world's smallest loaf of bread with stuff on top, says Cove. It has a small. It has to be small so you got room to try lots of different things. Cove's eyes were wide as you glued him through what was on offer. It made you feel sophisticated. Cove squared his shoulders as if gearing up for a match. His stance was familiar from all the times you'd seen him preparing for some sporting event. I'm gonna try it, says Cove. He picked up a plate and took one appetizer, then another and another. Soon you realized he was taking one of every single type. You're taking everything? I asked. Uh-huh, why not? Says Cove. Join him sampling everything. You might be stuffed afterwards, but that was a problem for you, for your future self. Right now, you were going to enjoy the feast to the full. Cove nodded his way through everything the Cypress had. The results of his endeavor were mixed. He was revolted by some of the things he tried, deeply screwing up his face and rushing to find a drink to wash the taste away. Yet these bad experiences didn't stop him from plodding on, moving on to the next snack with an open mind. There were some foods he was neutral about, dismissing them with a shrug. But the best of all were his reactions when he stumbled across something good. Each time caught him by surprise, his expression morphing from very curiosity to skeptical interest before making away for astonished enjoyment. Regardless of how he felt about what he was curiously eating, you could tell he was having a good time just being free to eat whatever he laid his eyes on. You thought that was nice too. After going through a round of sampling, continued on munching on refreshments while waiting for the music. In no time at all, the sun set full. The The lights faded in, and the opening notes of the band's first song rang out. You and Cove stopped what you were doing, turning to contemplate the party that had been steadily unfurling. While you were distracted, it was much busier now, both in terms of people and activity. The first steps were taken onto the dance floor. Some tentative, others eager, and even if the band hadn't been playing, the constant level of chatter would have ensured that it wasn't a quiet night. With the party now in full swing, your option had increased. I'm going to go with the last one. You asked Cove to dance. I'm going to go with this one. Cove, can I have the pleasure of your company on the dance floor? Really? Cove asked. He blustered the word out without thinking, then clamped a hand over his mouth before anything else could slip out. Really? Cove sucked up a deep breath as if trying to inhale confidence, as well as oxygen into his lungs. He gave a single serious nod before holding a trembling hand out towards you. You felt confident. You were at ease with Cove and had nothing to fear from a dance. Quite the contrary. You stood tall, ready to make an impression. You took Cove's outstretched hand. His skin was hot and damp. You squeezed it, giving him a reassuring smile, and together you carefully made your way into the dance floor. You took your places, standing before each other, hands still entwined. Frowning, Cove assessed the situation, trying to puzzle it out like a math problem before putting his remaining free hand on your shoulder. You positioned his hand to your waist. Gently you took his hand from your shoulder and moved it lower down for the dance. His eyes shook at the touch. From how tense his arm was, you knew Cove was fighting an urge to pull away. But ultimately, he smiled shyly at you, and his grip on your hand tightened. You gazed up at Cove, who seemed suddenly aware of the few inches he had over you. Cove awkwardly glanced down at you from the corner of his eyes, looking almost apologetic. The music had begun. The both of you moved, eagerly trying to catch up to it, but your feet took you in opposite directions. Following, the two of you shuffled from side to side, attempting to mirror each other's movements, but always winding up at odds. It was difficult. Cove was struggling, just coordinating his own limbs to the rhythm, let alone matching your movements. When Cove's foot ghosted yours, it was decided it'd be safer for everyone if you simply swayed to the tune. You rooted yourself to the floor, your torso gently moving to the sounds. Grateful, Cove kept his movements small and subtle in the same way. You were distantly aware that almost all the other dancing couples were men paired with women, unlike you and Cove. It didn't bother you. This was a welcoming environment. Your two moms wouldn't be members otherwise. Not being a majority didn't mean there was any problem with it. This was a welcoming environment. Your two moms wouldn't be members otherwise. Not being a majority didn't mean there was any problem with it. Your confidence spilled over into Cole. He tried to thus tighten his demeanor, though it didn't improve his dancing. It didn't make it worse, and you hoped that it meant he was having a better time. All was fine for a little while. You weren't going to win any dancing accolades with Cove, but that didn't matter when you were teasingly just being so close to him. There we go. Cove stepped out of sync with the music, knocking against you. He flinched back, nearly pulling you over in the process. took a hand from him and held it up, halting the proceedings so you could both get your bearings once more. I'm gonna go with this one. I'm signing you up for dancing lessons. Instead of laughing, Cove looked off. I don't really want to, says Cove. Then you took Cove's hand once more, generally resumed swaying to the music. Cove reflectively followed suit. His steps, small and apprehensive. He mumbled something quietly. This is a long song, says Cove. You weren't sure how to take that, whether it meant that something was wrong, or if Cove didn't really like dancing, or if he didn't like dancing with you specifically. You made the last couple of minutes of the song uncomfortable as you weighed up what to do and what to say to Cove. When the musicians laid their instruments down, Cove dropped your hands as if they were burning him. He trailed off the dance floor as quickly as he could without breaking into an outright run. In truth, you'd bet even that was faster than most people were here could manage. You had difficulty telling him before he could get lost in the crowd. When you caught up, he said nothing. You tried to get him into doing something else, but anything from him was now impossible. You focused over Cove, wondering how he was finding the evening. He sighed. It was so quiet and unnoticeable. That word, that you wouldn't have caught it if you hadn't been watching him. His gaze was roaming with how far away his eyes seemed. Whether he was searching for couldn't be found at this party. He turned to face you before you could say anything. I want to sit down, says Cove. We can do that. Cove began to move, and you instinctively followed him, yet instead of taking a seat at one of the many free tables, you expected Cove ignored them as he purposely stood out of the party area. Where are you going? I asked. Your call didn't seem to register with him as he continued forward out into the greens of the golf course. You went after him, trying to watch out for the uneven ground underfoot. The clods of earth dislodging in games of golf were perfect for snatching unwavering feet, even in daylight. Up ahead, Cove didn't appear to have had any difficulty traversing the uneven land. He settled down on one of the little hills of the golf course. You joined him, still unsure what he was going on. Are you all right? And why are we here? Cove started as if he acted on an instinct, and your questions had brought him around to reality again.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm okay, says Cove. It's nice over here, says Cove. You weren't arguing with a statement, but it hardly answered your question. It would have to do for now. You can go back to the party, says Cove. You didn't budge from your spot. From here, the party was just glowing haze in the distance. You didn't want to leave him behind. I'm not going to leave you here. I'm not going to drag you back if you don't want to. Oh, thanks, says Cove. Now that Cove was more at ease, you tried to find out what had caused him to take flight in the first place. Even thinking the words panned you, but you had to know the answer. Did going to the party with me make you uncomfortable? Logically, you knew that the issue was likely the activity rather than your company. Your heart strained with the worry that you had at fault, though. Was it because I made you dance? I asked. His abrupt departure from that was another indicator that something had gone awry.
What?
No, says Cove. He shook his head empathetically. It's not anything I did tonight. It's definitely not anything you did either, says Cove. Relief overcame you. You suspected as much, but with this being your very first date, it was hard to be sure. Cove attempted to fill in the gaps of understanding. I don't want to think about going back to the party. I just feel ready to go home, says Cove. I'm sorry you're not having fun anymore. Cove stared off, and his words felt just as distant. It's okay, says Cove. Cove sat quietly gazing out into the shadowy hills and valleys of the golf course. A comfortably warm wind rustled between you, twirling his hair. It was so far away from the hubbub of the party you could even make out the quiet sound of crickets chirping. This is kind of like how we first met. Do you remember? Says Cove. Asked Cove. How could I forget? You always liked him, even from that very first day. It's so weird. That was a long time ago now, says Cove. You thought back to the day when Cove first arrived in the neighborhood. He had run away from Mr. Holden, taking solace in the hills behind your house. That had been late, too, on a clear night like today. Looking at the sky, you wondered if the stars that were looking down were the same ones as then. Cole's face was brighter than you could still see signs of the strain that had caused him to depart from the soiree. When he first sat down, he curled up like a pill bug, hunched over, knees pressed to his chest and arms wrapped around them. He'd unwounded as you'd been talking, straightening up, his hands free to gesticulate, I guess. It was through the two of you. It was though the two of you had constructed your own little world away from everything else, and he was beginning to perk up. The small smile had crept into his face, was quickly ushered away by a frown. I can't believe I'm on a date, says Cove. Cove followed up on the statement before you could react. He spoke in a distantly whispered tone, as though you were the only one in the world who he could share those words with. After I said I wanted to come, I wanted to take it back. Not because I really didn't want to do it, but because I don't know, says Cove. It seemed like a big deal. It made me feel bad somehow. I started feeling like I couldn't do it, even though I just wanted to do it. I guess it was sort of like having to give a presentation in front of the class, even though it was just me and you doing something like we always do. He charged on, his words streaming out. I still could do it because thinking about not being there and you and what you might think of if I did take it back, maybe me feel the way way worse than whatever else I felt.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Chippy. I'm sorry I can't just deal with stuff like this. And I have to make everything so complicated, says Grove. You don't need to apologize. You then took his hand. His skin was cool to the touch. His fingers coiled delicately around yours. He finally moved his head and took you straight on, his eyes meeting yours. Thanks for inviting me, Chippy, says Cove. You stared back at him, not comprehending. But didn't it make you feel bad? I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. When I had to think about how I was actually doing it, but getting to hear that you wanted me to come made me feel good, said Cove. He flushed and had to break the fragile eye contact made.
I mean...
I want to keep doing things with you, no matter what, even if I feel weird sometimes, says Cove. I don't want to stop being there. I don't want you to stop wanting me there, says Cove. Because when I do, whenever it's for real and you're with me, it feels better in the end. It always does, says Cove. You felt the tug on your hand and found Cove in process of standing up. You joined him on your feet. What's up? Cole smiled awkwardly, brushing some grass off the side of his pants.
Wanna dance with me?
Oh, right here? Okay. Sure. You already danced with me. I don't think you had a good time. It's a dance party, right? And I think he trailed off, brow furrowed as he was trying to figure out the answer himself. Nodding slowly, he continued. I think I want to dance with you again before it's over, says Cove. With only words he had to explain gone, he just held up his hands to you. His expression was soft. Yes, I want to dance with you too. I want to dance with you too. Then you reached for his hand and took it in yours once more. Cove bit his lip as your fingers intertwined together, his cheeks reddening. You returned hand in hand with the party, reaching the end of a long evening. Dancing couples had become scarce. One pair along many were hard to notice, but now the space around you would act as a spotlight. Not that there were many left to watch you. He was still at ease, even buoyed by the disparted crowd. This time was a spring in his step as you walked onto the dance floor together. Cove kept holding the hand you given him back on the hill. Remembering your easier attempt at dancing, he placed a free hand on your waist. On his own, though still with a touch of trepidation. Sorry about my reading. I'm doing the best I can, so just bear with me. Cove hesitated while you waited for a sign with the song in process before you stepped out to the dance. You stepped out to dance. There was no signal for the right movement to begin. The same thought occurred to Cove, who shrugged his shoulders with keeping form. Taking that was your starting point, you cautiously began to sway. Cove already followed your example. You danced wordlessly, dimly aware of the music guided you. You were more focused on Cove, whose attention was firmly fastened on you. Unlike before, he had nervously looked down at his feet as if trying to keep them in check. His eyes were sturdy. He didn't even allow himself to be shaken when your knees knocked against each other and you both briefly fumbled your steps. Instead he chuckled, and it was soft as the roll of the morning tide. His lips curved into a shy consent. You had been drifting into a dreamlike state, but that expression, one that you never seen before, pinned you back to reality. Your heart was caught in a clench, held tight yet strained with the effort of thumping harder than it had after any amount of physical exertion. As if in response, his hand to hold yours with increased strength, he pulled you ever so slightly more towards him. Thoughts about what it meant, or what might have happened when it was over, eased, and both of you were able to simply have this dance. Time fell away as you took in a small moment. All too soon the song reached its conclusion. You could have continued quite contently for some time more. You still one hand of yours in his. Cove showed no sign of movement either. It was hard to let go. You had your name called out. That brought the dance truly to an end. The both of you spun to find Mom yelling for you and Cove. Beside her, Ma was shaking her head.
Sorry.
It's time to go home, Lonnie. And I had to get hold of them somehow. What did you want me to do? Sneak up on them? Asked Mom. Her chosen method was eminently better than that. You still winced at how dazed you'd been when she'd announced her arrival. Cove looked so embarrassed that you seriously worried about him fleeing again. This time you didn't think he'd stop until he was out of the grounds. Despite Cove's reaction, the scene with your moms to you had been a perfect ending to the evening. You were so glad you got a chance to dance with Cove once more before the night was over. And it definitely was over now. You didn't need to say anything to Cove. The two of you marched wordlessly over to your parents, who were still beckoning playfully. Standing shoulder to shoulder, your parents surveyed you and Cove. You wondered if they were checking that they were returning Mr. Holden's son the same state that he'd left the house.
So.
That was quite a night. Hugging, asked Mom. Wasn't it just? Asked Mom. Cove managed to a self-conscious smile. Yeah, says Cove. Mom was smiling too, with an expression so soft it could have called a newborn chick.
Well?
And how was your very first date? Asked Mom. Please don't start on them already. It technically hasn't even ended yet, says Mom. Fine, says Mom. Good. Well, we better ready ourselves to get back to Elizabeth. If we're lucky, the house might still be standing.
Pam.
Shush, this is Mom. She swayed your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people exchanging farewells and surprising yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite the awareness that was starting to creep in. Cove's head was angled away from you as you watched, wondering that what he was looking at. He came around and met your gaze. It was strange. Thought it had only been a few hours of your life. You felt a little older as a result of attending the party. It was like a step away from the world of your childhood, where dressing up is reserved almost exclusively as a form of play towards something new that you hadn't yet grasped. Turning away from the final moments of the party, you shelved what thought for another time as your moms eagerly led the way back to the car. As you and Cove tailed after them, you felt childlike once more. And that's the end of it. So I'm going to save it. Right there. And again, thank you for watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also, again, I'd like to encourage you, if you can, please go to my Patreon and become a Patreon contributor. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that, please. Remember, if you do, all that money is going to go directly to charity. I don't see a penny of it. It goes directly to charity. Really, seriously. I don't see any of it. It just goes directly to charity. Okay? So, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you later.